As you guessed it, conservatives are coping, seething, pissing. They are just excreting every bodily fluid in complete and utter misery at the fact that their big daddy Trump clearly lost, and he lost bigly in his debate against Kamala Harris. The Washington Post goes into detail about how resounding Kamala Harris's debate win really was, and I think we're going to go ahead and go through some of this to start with. Vice President Kamala Harris turned in one of the more resounding debate performances in recent decades on Tuesday night, to the point where Donald Trump's allies have struggled to locate a silver lining. Precisely how much the debate could impact the race is still an open question. So far, we've seen two instant polls. The CNN poll showed Harris winning the debate 63% to 37% among debate watchers, while the YouGov poll showed her winning 51 to 31 among registered voters who watched at least some of the debate, with 14% unsure. Trump has cited his own improbably wide margins in some unscientific online polls, posting a series of them on Truth Social, but those polls don't reflect the actual electorate. So this is obviously what he's talking about. For a guy who constantly complains and whines about fake news, he seems to be the king, the president even, of fake news. So he posted this: Newsmax snap poll, who won the debate? Newsmax says that Donald Trump is at 93% and Kamala Harris 6%. I'm sorry, but I don't even need to see that this is from Newsmax. All I need to see is 93% versus 6% to know that there's something incredibly fishy about these numbers. This is clearly a poll of diehard Trump supporters and a poll of what they thought about the debate. Who won the ABC News presidential debate? Oh, wow, a Twitter poll. Very, very impressive. You know, you talk so much about the rigged election. As we all know, a Twitter poll, those can never be rigged. You want a safe and secure election? I say this time we just host it right here on Twitter. Another Twitter poll. Trump versus Harris, who won the presidential debate? Trump at 78%. Again, who cares? Random losers on Twitter hitting Trump a million times? That doesn't mean much. Daily Caller, of course, had Trump at 73% as well. So all Trump had was Newsmax, a Twitter poll, and then a Twitter poll, and then a Twitter poll. Wow. But then again, when you don't give a shit about facts, you don't care about posting fake facts or misleading facts because you never gave a fuck about facts to begin with. So what's even more notable is that the margins of success that Kamala Harris has seen since the debate, those are the margins that are close to the ones Trump racked up after President Joe Biden's disastrous debate performance on June 27th. Harris's performance also ranks up there with the more decisive wins in recent history, according to CNN's numbers, though it's worth noting that a strong debate doesn't always necessarily translate into a White House victory. The biggest margins: Biden's 60-28 win in the first 2020 debate against Trump, Hillary Clinton's 62-27 win over Trump in the first debate, Mitt Romney's 67-25 win over then President Barack Obama, then President Bill Clinton's 59-29 win over Bob Dole in mid-October 1996. Harris's margin was bigger than 20 other polls CNN has conducted after debates dating back to 1984. Harris was also deemed the winner of the debate by 31% of Trump supporters, similar to the 30% of Biden supporters who said Trump won the June 27th debate. Wow. Now, as far as how much this debate could actually shift votes, we still have to just wait and see. Despite her win of the overall debate, debate watchers still preferred Trump by 20 points on the economy and 23 points on immigration. The finding that really jumped out was that Trump voters were about twice as likely as Harris supporters to say that the debate at least made them reconsider who they were voting for. Favorable opinions of Harris also increased by 6 points among debate watchers. That's the biggest image gain for a candidate in the 7 times CNN has asked this question before and after a presidential debate since 2008. And if we go to 538 polling, Kamala Harris is still ahead of Trump by 2.7 points. Trump obviously lost the debate even more Trump supporters said that Trump lost the debate. But it gets even worse because Trump's favorite news site, Fox News, actually took the time to, yes, tell everybody that Trump did a very bad job. Yeah, I know Trump is seething right now.
Vice President Harris was clearly well prepared, practiced on the offensive much of the night. Former President Trump did take a lot of the bait that she threw out.
Make no mistake about it, Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. And we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically. And there they all were, talking about how he didn't lose the election and all that. I mean, so my sense is that she came out of this in pretty good shape. But for tonight, at least, this was pretty much her night.
You're saying she had a good night?
I'm saying she certainly did.
Dude, how long until Trump just starts coping and saying, Fox News is fake news? They're fake news. They've been taken over by the liberal radical Marxists. Like, how long until that just happens? I could just see Trump literally throwing his remote control at the television and breaking his TV. Getting so angry.
This what has to be thought of by supporters of Donald Trump and people in that campaign as a disappointment. I got reaction from Republican friends. The two common things were train wreck and he needs this to end. She conveyed the calm. She conveyed a preparation. She was tenacious on Russia. She had clarity about the future of the country. He was a little too gloomy, I thought. And when asked, I saw around the table, I've never heard Donald Trump not be definitive about a set of plans. He said, I have concepts of a plan.
Yeah, I cannot get over the concept of a plan thing.
Here we are, 56 days from an election. You've been president before. He's got to recover from this.
This was rough. This was pretty intense at times. She started off shaky. She regained her footing. You watch this thing, if you're a Democrat, you're like, oh, she did a great job. You're a Republican, you look at this and you're like, that's Donald Trump. He had some moments where you were like, oh my God, where are we going with this?
But he missed more opportunity.
I cannot believe that even Jesse Waters was like, yeah, that was pretty rough. That was pretty intense. Also, really? You're a Republican, you look at that and say, that's Donald Trump? Yup, that's Trump. The bumbling, rambling buffoon, Dementia Don. That's my man, Donald Trump. Salute. No. If you're a Republican and you saw that debate and you went, that's Trump, then maybe you're retarded.
But he missed more opportunities. And he took all the bait and none of the opportunities.
He really did take the bait also. When she brought up the rally thing, Trump just jumped on it. He took that bait so quick. And I know it, just like what they said in Fox News. I know that his advisors were begging him, please, please, please do not do this. You are going to have to avoid the bait.
Pivoted better.
Did Donald Trump miss a few opportunities? Absolutely.
Tonight, she won.
Holy shit, dude. I love it. I love to see it. And then what, of course, made this all the more hilarious is that this person tweeted, you want to know who won? Find out who refuses to do a second debate. And of course, now we know Trump is the one who insists he won the debate, but says that another debate probably won't happen. So according to this Republican representative, whoever refuses to do the second debate is the loser of the first debate. Okay, well, I guess Trump lost then. Yikes. And this brings us to the other side of the coin. This brings us to the other end of the salt mine, where we reach the boss of the salt mines, the King Coper. Okay, we've heard of King Koopa. This is the King Coper. Good old Ben Shapiro. As we know, Ben Shapiro is pretty much always right there to give Donald Trump the good old-fashioned dick-sucking that he feels Donald Trump truly deserves. First, we start off with his tweet. Shapiro coped the very consistent and classic way in which we all expected him to by claiming the moderator was biased. So it's Trump versus Harris and the moderators. Shocker. No, The moderator is against falsehoods. If Trump spews more falsehoods, the moderators will call him out more frequently. Shapiro also made a video with his initial reaction, similar to how I made a video about it as well. So I thought we'd take a look at that now. It's 5 minutes long, so thankfully not too long, but I'm sure that it's going to just be an absolute nightmare.
So here's my take on this particular debate. We're going to talk about it a lot today. We'll talk about it a lot tomorrow. And a week from now, it's not going to matter at all. And the reason it's not going to matter at all is because nothing fundamentally changed here. The people of America still don't know Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has not done his job in making sure that the people of America actually know anything about her positions. 30% of Americans say they don't know anything about her positions, and they still don't know anything about her positions because the moderators never pressed her on any of her positions. And Donald Trump didn't either. On Donald Trump's side of the aisle, Donald Trump did not perform tonight. He didn't do an amazing job calling her on her BS. The best thing he said all night was his closing statement.
Well, we have a shocking admission from Ben Shapiro here that Trump also didn't really perform very well. Okay. Thank you, Shapiro, for at least not being a biased hack 60 seconds into the video. Thank you.
First thing he said in the debate. And the fact that that wasn't what he said right off the top was a mistake. He was also incredibly distractible tonight. He took the bait on nearly every question. Every time she said something that you knew was going to get his goat, he just let it happen. So, for example, when she gave him the bait on his crowd sizes, on people are leaving.
Everybody knew, literally everybody knew she was going to try to fucking bait him. She was like, didn't her own campaign, didn't the Kamala campaign even say like, we're going to bait Trump, LOL? And everybody's just saying like, yeah, he's going to get baited, LOL. And Trump still just took the bait.
On people are leaving your crowds. They're leaving your rallies. He couldn't resist going after her about the crowd size. What about January 6th? About the election of 2020? These are all distractions. The only thing that mattered tonight for Donald Trump was defining her, and he did not define her, which means...
That's because he's Dementia Don, dude. You can't expect much from Dementia Don. He's an old, feeble, decrepit man. He's been through his fair share of sexual assault trials and cases. He's now a felon. He's got a lot on his plate, okay? He's an old man. He's melting before our very eyes. And now Kamala Harris has come along, a fresh, new face, somebody that actually brings some pointed arguments, somebody that actually knows how to speak clearly and concisely and coherently. And now Trump's just fucking melting down.
Define her, which means that I still check the calendar. We still have a couple months till the election. She is going to have to be defined. The big takeaway from this is not going to be about Trump, who still remains Trump. And it's really not going to be about Harris, who performed the best.
Yeah, I guarantee you that Ben Shapiro didn't just check the calendar. I guarantee you it was like a frantic checking of the calendar. A sort of like, oh my God. Okay. According to my estimation and the facts and the logic here on my calendar, there is still enough time for Trump to recover from this. How much you want to bet that that's what happened? I highly doubt that Trump, or I highly doubt that Ben Shapiro was just like, oh, let me, go and check the calendar real quick. Okay, yeah, no worries. No, I bet this man was frantically shuffling through his calendar. You know what? Even worse, I bet he didn't even look on his phone calendar. I bet he has an old-fashioned paper fucking calendar taped up to his wall, and he ran up to it, and he was just shuffling through it, ripping pages down, counting desperately to where he's got the thing circled, the big red circle. Trump wins, please, 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 God.
The big takeaway.
Also, he did define her. He tried to define her as a Marxist, something that didn't land at all because even Goldman Sachs has said that Kamala Harris's economic plan would be beneficial for the overall U.S. economy.
It's really not going to be about Harris, who performed the best I think it's possible for Kamala Harris to perform, which is to say she was fairly obnoxious. She lied a lot. She said a lot of things that were untrue. She was never called on any of that. The big takeaway is going to be the continued destruction of the legacy media on behalf of the Democratic Party. The legacy media have decided, full scale, they are now apparatus.
What? So he admits that Kamala Harris did as best as she possibly could, but still said she was obnoxious? How was she obnoxious? Maybe this is why the legacy media is still more successful than this, than whatever Ben Shapiro is trying to do with his alternative media shit. Because legacy media is syndicated and must abide by certain standards, or else they could lose their journalistic, or they could lose their license entirely. Shapiro, you think she was obnoxious because you don't like her.
full scale. They are now apparatchiks of the Democratic Party. They are so far up Kamala Harris's ass that they're doing active colonoscopies with their eyeballs. It's unbelievable. Watching.
Gee, talk about obnoxious. Sounds as though Ben Shapiro's the most obnoxious one here.
David Muir ask questions to Donald Trump like, why are you so bad and orange and mean? And then turning to Kamala Harris and saying, and why is he so bad and orange and mean? It's absolutely insipid and totally insane. The media tonight were beyond the worst expectations that I had for them. I thought that they were going to do like a baseline creditable job because CNN did. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, they actually did that in the last debate. They actually asked questions and let people answer them. David Muir became an active participant in this debate. Lindsey Davis became an active participant in the debate. And then they never once fact-checked Kamala Harris, who lied over and over and over. She lied. She said, for example, that Donald Trump was a backer of Project 2025. A lie.
Wait, wasn't there already leaked footage showing that Trump people were working on Project 2025? I mean, literally, I'm scrolling through here, and it's just that Trump said so many more false things. I'm seeing a couple things about Harris here saying some stuff that was incorrect. So there were 3 things that NPR, at least, lists that were factually incorrect on Kamala Harris's part. The rest were Trump. So this is massive fucking cope from Ben Shapiro to be like, the moderators were just on Kamala Harris's side. Trump just lied a hell of a lot more.
She said that Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville riots, including the neo-Nazis. That is a lie. It's been debunked repeatedly. They did not say that that was a lie. She said that he had said that he was going to unleash...
What? That's not a lie at all. Mr. President, are you putting what you're calling the alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane? Trump, I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side. You can call them the left. You can just call them the left that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is. Reporter, both sides, sir. You said there was hatred. There was violence on both sides. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. If you look at both sides, I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it. Reporter, the neo-Nazis started this. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. Trump, excuse me, they didn't put themselves, and you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group. I saw the same pictures. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very important statue. So I guess the only thing they could say was out of context is that Trump tried to say not all the people marching there were neo-Nazis, so there were some fine people on both sides. Not meaning that neo-Nazis? I mean, he still said there were fine people on both sides. Obviously, there's one side of the aisle which is against fascism, a past of slavery and discrimination, and there's a side that's in favor of that. So it's really yikesy to be like, there's fine people on both sides, but I also do recognize that Trump seems to have tried at least to have condemned the neo-Nazis responsible there as well.
They never fact-check a single thing that she did the entire night. And actually, that helps Trump. And it helps Trump for a very simple reason. If you are a Trump fan, and if you think that Trump didn't actually perform unbelievably well tonight, which I think is true, I don't think he did an amazing job tonight, the easy out is, yeah, because the media were targeting him. And if you're a moderate watching this, I
love that he just admits it right there. That's your easy out, okay? Here's your easy excuse.
And if you're a moderate watching this, I think that it had to be apparent, even to moderates, even to independents, the media want Kamala Harris elected. They're doing their best to make sure that Kamala Harris is elected. So tomorrow, we'll revert right back to where we were before this debate. We'll revert right back to Kamala Harris is vibes, and she is joy, and she is policy vagary, and she'll never answer another question. She's going to try and get all the way from here to the election without ever answering another question. There will be no more debates. She's going to declare that she won. The media will declare that she won and that Trump lost. Trump really...
Oh, yikes. Bad prediction. Kamala Harris's campaign immediately called for a second debate, and Fox News even offered to host it. Trump all but ruled it out. Shapiro is way off on that prediction. Yikes.
Really has no interest in doing another debate because I frankly don't think that it's in his interest to do another debate at this point. So that was the last presidential debate of this election.
I wonder why it's not in his best interest.
Cycle. The bottom line is that when all is said and done, it seems like a lot of this is baked into the cake. And in the moment, it's uncomfortable because it was such an opportunity. You know, if you're like me and you're sitting there, you're like leaping out of your seat. Why won't he just say it? Why won't he just say it? It's very frustrating. She will say something about how race shouldn't divide us. And you're sitting there going, what the actual living, Like, you are a case in point of a person who divides based on race. It's what you do for a living. It's how you became vice president of the United States. She will say things about...
What? How did she divide people based on race just because she was chosen as vice president? She's literally an extremely well-respected member of the US government. She's been a member of Congress for a while, then she moved up. So Shapiro's basically just saying that Kamala Harris was elected as vice president because she was black. Okay, very nice. Yeah. Kamala Harris also had a fuck ton of experience and a very well-rounded resume that put her in a position in which she could even be considered to be vice president. So the notion that she was put up as vice president purely because she's a black woman is absolutely fucking stupid. And it would only come out of the mouth of a retarded human being.
You're just waiting for him to take the opening. But the problem was that he had been set off earlier in the debate. He was incredibly distractible. He was following every squirrel down every particular rabbit hole. Again, the best moment I thought of the debate for Donald Trump was that closing statement where he finally laid out the big question. If you say you have all these big plans, why don't you do any of those things? But in the final analysis, I can be pissed at the media. I can feel discomfort with how the debate went tonight. This is still a tight race. It's not going to become a not tight race because of this particular debate, which means that tomorrow Donald Trump better get up and he better decide that he's going to do for the rest of the campaign the thing he didn't do tonight, define her. J.D. Vance, by the way, is doing an excellent job of this. J.D.'s doing a great job of this. Trump needs to do it. He needs to actually do it. If he does that, he can still win the race and he still has the upper hand. But this debate was I'll say it was a blown opportunity at the very least.
Wow. At least Shapiro gave a little bit more of a level-headed and moderate take than I expected, I must say. A little bit better than I was expecting. Thank you, Benny Boy, for at least admitting that Trump didn't do that good, and for admitting that just blaming the media is an easy out, and for subtly implying that Kamala Harris was only vice president because of her race.
If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today.